very common question that a beginner in painting might have is actually about how to paint. So how to use a brush, how to apply paint on a canvas. And in this lesson, I'm going to show you exactly this, how you can apply the paint, how to use a brush, and show you that there is no secret. And the same way that each person has a different handwriting, each person will have a different way of using the brush and applying the paint. Some people might work with more texture, might apply more texture. Some people might prefer to work more transparently, and that's okay. So here, I'm going to show you how you can apply paint using the different brushes, and also how the use of medium might affect the spread of the paint on the canvas. Before we start, I would like to talk about the medium cups. These cups can be made of plastic or metal, and you can buy them in basically any art shop. And the most common mediums are turpentine and oil, which can be linseed oil or walnut oil, poppy oil. And basically, it is said that you should put in one cup maybe two parts of turpentine and one part of oil, and then the other cup 2 parts of oil and 1 part of turpentine. And that way the turpentine gets a little bit thicker. It's not so out of control because it's a very liquid solvent, of course, and the oil doesn't also dry so fast in the cup. But I usually put 3/4 of turpentine and 1/4 of oil in one, and then 3/4 of oil, 1/4 of turpentine on the other one. You can use different mediums also, such as cobalt dryer, which helps the oil paint to dry faster, but I usually find that those two are just enough. I'm gonna start first using the raw umber. Before I start, I always dip the brush a little bit in oil, just to start the day, so the brush starts with a little bit of oil on it. It captures the paint a little bit better. And let's start by applying, just to show you that basically this is the way that the pigment behaves naturally. And this brush that I use has a round shape, and with that I find that I have a better control on it. I can both paint large areas or make just more precise straight lines if I need to. For example, if I capture the paint this way, I get more paint on the tip of the brush, and then I can use it to make more precise lines. For example, like this here. With a dry brush, then I can just spread that paint. I can make this gradient, for example, and just by spreading the paint around. And you can see how light it gets, right? Comparing to the paint when it's pure, the normal just texture of the paint, and you just apply it. So this way I'm painting a very transparent way. And if I need it to be thicker and darker, then I can just apply more paint on top of it. So this is just to show that there is no secret how to put the paint basically on a canvas. I've seen people holding the brush this way and in different ways also, and the application will be the same, and it doesn't really matter. It's just a matter of how you hold the brush. It's personal. If I get a little bit of turpentine now, so I'm dipping my brush on turpentine and diluting a little bit the paint, the raw umber, then I can use this to spread the paint in a more easy way, more easily on the canvas. And of course it gets even a little bit lighter, more transparent. You can even compare it from the value of the paint that I spread with a dry brush, and it's because the turpentine as a liquid just spreads the paint more. Any solvent really that which you use. So the same thing would be with the oil. If I dip my brush in oil and use that to spread the paint, so I can more easily spread the paint around. The difference here would be that the oil, of course, is going to take longer to dry. And there's a thing that the concept of fat over lean, that if the bottom, the first layers of the painting is not dry, is still wet, and the top layer is dry, it can cause cracks. So you shouldn't really use too much medium at the beginning. You can see that just if I apply, also the oil kind of keeps on spreading the paint a little bit more. I think it's because the turpentine just dries faster. Another point here is that this, if you clean the brush with a paper towel, then you have a sort of dry brush, but it still has some paint on it. And then I can spread the paint around sort of as a dry brush. And you can do that also for blending, between blending two colors. So for example, now I'm trying to unite these two colors here. I can get more paint and spread a bit more too. So just to show you how you can spread the paint around, I'm gonna then close this square here and just show you how you can blend two different colors on a canvas. So here on one side I have the raw umber, and I'm gonna use here the English red on the other side. I can basically go painting over it, over the line, the division, with both brushes, right? So until I'm basically satisfied with this blending, and I advance a little bit from one side with the raw umber, and then I advance a little bit from the other side with the English red, and basically you just keep on doing that with the two colors, and this is the process for blending. And so you can see there is no secret to it. Is you just go basically mixing the two sides, uh, but notice that it's good to have clean brushes for each color. So if I mix, for example, one brush too much with the other color, then I just clean it. So it's good to have one brush for each color, for even if different values of the same color. So and keep them clean, keep them pure. So for example, if I mix too much the red with this one, for example, then it wouldn't be the raw umber anymore. It would be reddish raw umber. So it's good to keep them clean so you don't get the colors muddy. You get the colors always like pure and separate. So try to have one brush for each pigment. Like this, for example, if I got the red, uh, the brush with the red, then I will get it on the raw umber part, which is something that you don't want. Um, Now I'm going to show you using the shapeless brush. Right? I usually use round brushes. For example, with this one here, I have better control. So if I need to do a more precise edge, I find it easier to do it because you can turn the brush around and the shape helps. If I use a brush without shape, this control it's harder to get. It's not impossible, but it's too soft, it's too spread out. Sometimes you have the hairs going all over the place, it doesn't really have a shape. So it's harder to have control over certain areas when you're painting precise areas. So you can do it, but it's just a bit harder. Another thing that I'd like to mention is that, for example, here I use the English red. And I don't know if you can notice that it's a very opaque pigment. It's a very strong pigment, this color. And it basically really covers the canvas, right? But if I use, for example, this is the vermilion, then it is a more transparent pigment. So when you try to cover another color, for example, the color underneath you kind of show a bit more than, for example, if I use the English red. So because the pigment behaves in that manner that it's just a bit more transparent. So even on the texture of the canvas, you can kind of see more when from we using in the area that I put the vermilion than in the area that I put the English red. Another point is about the relativity of the colors on a canvas. So here I have this blue canvas here, and then I paint some blue, and the blue on the white canvas. Actually, I'm gonna paint it here side by side, so maybe it's easier to see. So, it just feels like, for example, this blue here is a little bit darker than the blue on the blue canvas, and of course it's the same blue, but just because the surroundings of this blue on the white canvas are just lighter, so it makes it look darker, right? So this is what I mean by the relativity, that when you put some colors on the side by side other colors, then of course they affect the way we perceive those colors. And uh, for example, if we talk about a little bit of color theory, if you think about the colors on a color wheel, so opposite colors they will look more, they will contrast more if you put them side by side, for example, and they will look even more different, even further apart. Now let's exemplify with the yellow. So putting some Naples yellow here on the blue, and then some Naples yellow on the white side. And I believe that the Naples yellow on the blue canvas, it shows more. It seems to be more saturated, more intense of a color than on a white canvas. And again, it's because of the how it responds to its surroundings, to the color close to it. And of course, it's exactly the same yellow, but I feel like you can see better when it's surrounded by the blue than when it's surrounded by the white. Of course, imagine if there was another yellow close to it. That would be even more bland. So I just wanted to show you this, talk about this relativity and how to make use of the brush. And basically, so just in conclusion, the way you apply the paint, it is personal. There is no secret. Some people paint in a more transparent way. Some people paint with more texture, applying more paint. And I think that's just natural. I think you should follow the way you feels more natural to you. There is no secret. There is no right or wrong. Now I'm just gonna use this brush here, which is a softer brush that doesn't have a shape. It's a squared shape. So I usually like the bristle brushes, which are a little bit um, thicker. Also, the hair is a little bit harder, and I find that I have a better control with these. Like for example, to make lines and spread the paint around. And this squared brush, soft brush, I find it a little bit harder, this control, even to kind of capture the paint from the palette and apply it. But of course, again, you can still do it, you can paint normally, and it's a matter of personal choice.